Hi, so this is a video I'm creating to introduce you to your new final project. So let me talk a little bit about this new project. So for this new project, what I want you to do is identify a company that you want to work at and would be eligible to work at in the next year. So if you're graduating, you'd be eligible to work there right after graduation, or there's internships that would be eligible for you. Now, you may have actually done this because if you did your first project correctly, you already identified a company that you wanted to work at. But you don't have to stick with what you originally identified. You can identify a new company as we've worked through the class this semester and you've gotten new ideas, but pick a company that you're interested in working with. And so that company needs to have opportunities available for recent graduates or current students. Then, within that company, you need to identify a job title that would be appropriate for your level of experience, which for most of you is no experience. So if you have experience already, then you could pick a job title that makes sense for, but for most of you, you need a job title that you could get without having any experience, that you could get as a recent college graduate with no experience whatsoever. So again, for your career goals, you might have already correctly identified that, and so you already have your company and your job position picked out, and that's great. But for some of you, you'll kind of need to rework that and find a new position that makes sense. Now, one thing I want to stress about this is you don't actually have to find a current opening. So, for example, there could be a company that our university, let's say you want to work at our university, and our university does have positions in the IT department for recent graduates. We don't have any openings right now currently posted, but technically there could be an opening in the future and one might become possible. That's fine. You just need to have a job title that might become available at that company that would require no experience to get in. So it doesn't have to be something that's currently a posting. That might make it a little easier at some parts when I explain the project moving forward, but that's not required. And you might not know your job title that you could get right from the beginning when you pick your company, but as you do research, which I'm going to explain to you in a few minutes, you might find out, but you do need to discover that during your research if you don't know that right away. So once you've picked your company, you're going to research that company. I want really in-depth research on this company. So you should be looking at things like what's the size, what kind of projects or responsibility does this company take on and do, what are this company's competitors, what are the company's values, what makes the company stand out, what's the company culture like, what are they looking for in new hires, and there's a lot of different resources that you can use to get this information. So, well, the first thing you should just do is put the company's name in Google and see what comes up. I'd also recommend putting it into YouTube as well. There's also a website called Crunchbase. So if you put the company into Crunchbase, it'll pull up a whole bunch of different resources on that company and kind of give you a summary and connect you to a lot of other things that you could go to, like the company's website or other things. So it's not that Crunchbase by itself would give you things, but Crunchbase would give you a lot of links to other things that would have useful information. Obviously, explore that company's website in depth because they're going to put a lot of things about themselves on there. Look at the company's social media, especially the company's LinkedIn, but also their other social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever they've got as well. Indeed has company pages, so you can go to Indeed.com and research your company on there. They might have corporate blogs. Another really great one is Glassdoor. Glassdoor talks about people who've interviewed or been hired there before and kind of gives you the information on that. There might be articles from other sources or recent news. If you could look at the president or the CEO or the hiring manager's name, then put them into Google, and you could also research their personal background, stock information. There's so many different things that you can look into, and you should look into those things. Part of your research must include an informational interview with somebody at that company. So you have to make a connection with somebody in that company. You can reach out through LinkedIn to try to make that connection, or you can reach out through your contacts that you know, but you have to informationally interview somebody within that company that you want to work at. And that person must either be in an entry-level role, so they're doing the job that you want to get hired for, so you can find out exactly what the job that you want would look like, or they have to work directly with people in that role. So for example, if you want to talk to the supervisor for the person that's the person you would work for if you got a job, then that's great. But you can't like interview somebody in the sales department if you want to be in the IT department. Like, no, you need to interview somebody who can tell you in depth and real information about what the job that you want actually looks like, what the day-to-day actually looks like in that job. So the first thing you're going to do is research that company. but then you're going to identify an appropriate job title and you're going to research that job position. So you want to figure out what are the things that that job that you want is going to do. And this is where a job posting would be helpful. But again, someone at that company could probably provide you an old posting to see what it might have looked like in the past. HR should be able to do that. Or you could just interview an in-depth informational interview just to find out, what would the job posting say if a job posting was created. So again, this is where the informational interview is really significant, because you're probably not going to be able to find just through Google or a website what the real life day-to-day of the job that you want looks like. And that's what you need to find out. So you should figure out the job title, but also what qualifications are needed to get this job. You need to know, what do they do? What does their job look like truly on a day-to-day basis? And then also, why do you want this job? Why are you interested in it? What does it offer to you that would be useful or worthwhile? And when you really look into it, see if you're really still interested in this job. All right, the next thing you need to think about is you need to think about yourself. All right, so after you've researched the company, after you research the job title, I want you to give a good, hard time thinking about yourself here. So how do your abilities match what the company is looking for? Are there things that you need to do in order to be more competitive when applying for that company? What kind of experiences do you have that you should make sure that you're going to share? What soft or hard skills is it really important that you state in the interview? What are stories that you can tell them about things you've accomplished in the past that would impress them? Why would you be a better choice than other applicants? And for all of this, I want you to be specific. So just saying like, oh, I'm a better choice because I'm really hardworking. Yeah, no. You need to explain in more detail. You need to tell stories about a time that you are hardworking. You need to show with hard data how you've been successful in something that's the kind of thing that they're looking for. You don't just want to be vague like, well, I've taken a lot of IT classes, I'm really knowledgeable about IT. No, we want to see things that are very specific. You said that you're looking for someone with this kind of coding language ability. I have this ability in this coding language, and I've done this kind of project that produced these kind of results. And so I think I'd be a really good fit because I can bring all of my experience that I've gained through this class, this class, this class, and this class into your company and hit the ground running, already being fully aware of that coding language and operating fluently in it. All right, something like that would be much more specific and the kind of thing that I'm looking for. And if you're not IT, then you would still rework that in ways that make sense. So again, you want things that are kind of specific. You want to show specifically what you can offer. All right, so now you're going to take all this research and all this hard thinking, and you're going to turn it into a presentation for me. And I'm looking for a 9 to 11 minute presentation. So you've got to put a lot of material together to really make this work out. And that should be in business presentation format. It's really important to me that you verbally cite your sources during that presentation. So you need to say, according to Company X website on the About Us page, blah, 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 blah. According to an interview with John Doe, manager at Company X, blah, 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 blah. According to Glassdoor.com's page on Company X, blah, 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 blah. So when you're using your sources in your interview, in your presentation, you need to cite your sources to show me that you got material on this. It's also important that you're dressed professionally in this video, like what you could wear to an interview. And you have to use PowerPoint as a part of this presentation. I recommend that you use Screencast-O-Matic, which is what I'm using here, and that you'd use a tutorial for that. So for Screencast-O-Matic, what you would do is you primarily have a video pulled up like this of where you're talking, but at sometimes you'd have slides that you'd want to show, and you can actually Alt-C, and then we go into this kind of mode like this, where I'm still appearing in video, but in a smaller area. And so if I want to talk about the company I want to work at Augusta University Department of Communication. And so I show you where the Department of Communication is as a piece of that. I go to a blank slide. Maybe I go back to my full video and I talk for a little bit. But then when I want to tell you about the person I interviewed with, I talked about Augusta University's profile. I might talk about what Augusta University is like. I could explain this profile as a part of that project. And again, when I'm not using it, I can go back to my screen mode. If I interviewed David Bulla, the department chair, I can put his image up and show you who it was that I interviewed with. I can go back to myself, and then I can go back over here. I might have a graph that I'm putting up that is somehow related to the things that I'm talking about. And again, I can go to blank slides. So you can see how a Screencast-O-Matic works really well because I can go back and forth between my PowerPoint, but my PowerPoint isn't necessarily what I'm using the whole time, so it's just a lot simpler to use and it makes things really seamless. So you're using a PowerPoint, but you still have your video presentation as all of this. I put a tutorial up about how to use Screencast-O-Matic. It's a great free resource that you can utilize. If you absolutely cannot make Screencast-O-Matic work, then okay, videotape yourself and like put your computer right beside you with your PowerPoint slides and click through it and make sure that I can see your PowerPoint slides in your video with your head. Or if someone else is videotaping you, make sure that they like zoom in on your PowerPoint slides at key points and zoom out on you. But what I do not want is a PowerPoint voiceover where I'm just like only hearing your voice. I want to see you for the entire video or for almost the entire video. And so this would be the easiest way to do that, and so that's kind of my recommendation for this. After you create this video, again, you're going to upload that video to YouTube, Google Photos box, just like we've done in the past. You're going to get a link. You're going to post that link in the Dropbox for this. So your presentation should include the following things. First, I want an introduction to the company. Who are they? What do they do? Why are you interested in working there? Second, I want an introduction to the entry-level position or internship that you want. What's it called? What do they do? What is required to get that position? Why are you interested in it? And then third, what I want is a discussion of your own qualifications. This is the kind of things that you might say about yourself in an interview to get that job. How does your experience match what they are looking for? What can you offer them? Why should they be interested in you? And again, you're going to be very specific. So you're going to tell me about the company you want to work at, what you want to do at that company, and you're going to give me a lot of background on those two things, and then you're going to give a little pitch about yourself, telling me lots of information to kind of, if I was the company, sell me on hiring you for that. So talk about your qualifications in a way that would make you qualified for it. So again, it's worth 10% of your final grade. So you want to make sure you do a good job on this video. You want to make sure you put the time and research into it. It's going to be, I'm looking forward to seeing your work. I'm looking forward to hearing about what you want to do. I'm looking forward to hearing about how you think you're qualified for it. I hope that this project will be really useful for you, and I hope that you'll be able to use this project to get a job and hopefully to get that job that's what you want at that company. So